Thanks for joining us today for the February edition of World Kitchen. Today we will be looking at Thai cuisine with Janejira Kalsmith. And I wanted to take this time to thank our sponsor, Kitchen, which is the Outreach and Online Education Office of Inclusion, Equity, and Diversity. So we thank them for their sponsorship. I also want to mention that per Penn State policy, when we're not on camera, we will be masked behind the scenes, but when we're on camera, of course, we will not be. And I also want to, before I forget, invite you to keep an eye on our website for not only next month's World Kitchen, which will be Japan with Mizuho Kawasaki, but also an upcoming event in June where we will be finally able to do an in-person event. So keep an eye on the WPSU.org World Kitchen website for more information about that. And now I would like to introduce my friend, Janejira Kalsmith, who's going to be offering us her recipes for Thai cuisine.
Thank you,
Thank
Tanya.
you.
Thank you for inviting me to host, not to share this special recipe with you. Sawadee ka. And I have friends from Italy who's logging in, and I'm also Italian, so I have to greet in Italian. Benvenuti. Welcome to today's lesson. I'll be showing you how to make chicken basil. In Thai, the name is Pad Krapao Gai. Krapao is basil and chicken is gai. As well as coffee. I'll show you how to make coffee hot and cold version, and the hot sauce that accompanies this dish, which I know that a lot of restaurants don't give this to you, but it is the sauce that you don't want to miss. Okay, so the first, I should say a little bit of my background. So I was born in Bangkok, and my family and I moved to Chicago in the 80s, started a Thai restaurant, family-owned Thai restaurant, and that's where I my professional training. I started sneaking into the kitchen at around 12 years old to try to cook for Thai people. And when I knew that I did a good job is when they couldn't tell the difference between my dish and my parents. So that was a little challenge I set on myself. Okay, so we'll start with the first important thing in the Thai cuisine. You need jasmine rice. I like to just get rice out of the way and not worry about it. I know that a lot of people will cook rice on the stove. In Asia, many homes have rice cooker. And I recently discovered that Instant Pot does a very good job at cooking jasmine rice. So using that, you can cook rice in 12 minutes. Over the stove, depending on how much rice you're cooking, it could take up to half an hour or 40 minutes. And if you're doing a full-blown dinner with many plates, you don't want to spend a lot of time worrying about how your rice is cooking on the stove to burn. Okay, so we'll start with the rice. Just gonna do 2 cups. I usually have this in a big bit at home, and I just scooped it out, much easier. We managed. Then what you want to do is rinse this. You have to follow me.
It's okay. You can just rinse. Yeah.
Just rinse out the water about 3 times. Two to 3 times. the same cup that I used before. So it's 1:1.
Right, they may not be able to hear you very much. You said it's 1:1.
Yes,
So for 2 cups of rice, we're going to do 2 cups of water.
that's correct. And then you want to wipe the wall of your Instant Pot. This is very important. You got to press start. Because it has happened before that I forget to press start. Okay, next we have already pre-boiled hot water and we're going to make Thai coffee today. Actually, the recipe for the iced coffee and the iced tea is very much the same. You need the filter. I bought this online because we live in a small town and we don't have, I haven't seen this in the store. So you can get this online. And this one is actually from Thailand, Oliang, which is iced coffee without any milk. Use about 3/4 of a cup and 1.5 liters of hot water. And you know, this is, you can measure this out if you like, but you can kind of modify your recipe so that it's not too bitter. If it's too bitter, just add more hot water. That's about 3/4.
Okay.
I can just pour this, right?
Yeah. You might want to flip the little top up there. Yeah, there you go. It's steamy. Wow.
It's very steamy. I love this pot. So it's nice and dark. And you can just let it steep for a little bit. I got everything. That's 1.5 liters of water. Then for the sugar, you need 3¼ cups of sugar. Of course, modify the sugar amount because some people like it very sweet and some not. But in Thailand, the weather is really hot. So when you pour this over hot ice, it melts really quickly because imagine 90 degrees temperature. So this is why the coffee is made extra sweet. I will show you the hot version while we have this unsugared. The hot version, you will need to use condensed milk. This little cup. It's a good thing where I know where the spoons are. Put myself to the spoon.
So it's full strength at that point for the hot.
Yes. So this is before you put in your sugar, you're going to use the condensed milk. It's almost similar to Vietnamese coffee, if I have to compare. You know, get the color to be nice brown like that. And this is my favorite version of Thai coffee. I actually like it hot. They don't offer it in the restaurant because, as you can imagine, this takes time to brew it hot, and it's much easier to serve iced coffee because you can even make it a day ahead. With the sugar, let it, you know, you keep it in the fridge, pour over ice when the customer orders it. Would you like to try?
Sure, thank
Should be
you.
over here. We can see Tamra's tasting face.
It looks really hot.
You can add more sugar, more
very
condensed
good.
milk.
No, it's excellent.
May I have one?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, here we go.
This little, this is cute. Yeah, in Thailand, actually, they serve it in little glasses, not like a coffee mug.
Okay. But it's always going to be in a clear glass so you can see the color, right?
Yes, you can see the color. We can also offer to Alex before,
Maybe after.
before we add the sugar.
I'm
to
not much of
here.
a coffee person.
This is true. He's not really into coffee.
Cheers.
Oh, thank
There is
you.
a question in the chat. Why rinse the rice 3 times with cold water before cooking?
That's an excellent question. I swore I was going to talk about that, but I'm a little nervous. So you have to, first you have to clean it, right? And then when you rinse it, you get rid of the gluten and it makes the rice less soggy. So, and speaking about the proportion of rice to water, if you will notice, if you buy a big bag, like 20-pound bag like I do at home, the newer crop will require less water. So if you're opening a fresh bag, you'll notice that, oh, how is my rice a little bit wet and soggy today? Because it's new and there's a lot of moisture in the rice. Whereas if you've had this bag open a year ago, that's going to require a little bit more water. So any more questions, let me know.
Yeah, we do the same in Persian cooking, and the story that I get from the Persian housewives is that you're removing a lot of the starch from the
Right,
rice. That's their whole
exactly.
purpose. And I think to clean it as well.
Yes. So I'll remove the coffee from the filter and then add sugar to here and let it cool down. Then we'll revisit this after we do our chicken. Okay. Question.
Oh, there's a question about something for later. So we'll answer questions about the hot
Oh,
sauce when we get
Yeah,
to
somebody has a question about how much time it takes to make the hot sauce.
I know how much lime.
Oh, sorry, lime. Sorry,
Not
didn't
time.
I? Lime, how
How
much
much
lime?
lime? We'll need about half a lime. This is pretty small. We need about half a lime. And nobody really measures the quantity between the fish sauce and the lime juice. You kind of eyeball it. You want it to be more or less even, but let the fish sauce lead the flavor. Okay, so we can get to that. I pre-washed my lime. Everybody, I know that a lot of people here are pro cooks, so you probably took a knife handling lesson, but I think that a lot of people don't explain enough. Like I tell this to my children that when you're walking around in the kitchen with knives, always with the knife down. So, don't turn around without knowing where you're going because you never know who's going to be behind you. So that's kitchen safety. So the lime, how to choose lime. You want one that has very smooth and thin skin because that will be much easier to squeeze if you're doing this by hand. And what I like to do is give it a Thai massage first because then you'll get more juice out of it. People like from different cultures have a different method of doing things. If we need to cut, we always cut outward. Here in the States, you cut inward to yourself. So we always point the knife, the sharp part outside. So this is nice and massaged. You want to cut the line next to the core, not right straight onto the core. Because if you do that, you can't get a lot of juice. So on the side, And you have juicer, you can use your juicer, but I can just use a spoon, squeeze it into your little bowl. Then fish sauce. Again, more fish sauce than lime or lemon.
So is it interchangeable? Could you use lemon or it really should be a lime?
In Thailand, it's mostly lime. You can use either one. I find, sorry, I'm gonna put on my hat because I don't want food. I don't want hair in my food. I find that lemons are a little sweeter, and I can use either one. Then we have the fresh Thai chili.
And we had a little trouble. We could not find those when we did our shopping yesterday. So luckily, Janejira had some at her house. But where typically would you find these?
So I have found the Thai chilies in the Asian market, but yesterday I don't know why they were out. I found them a couple of times at Giant on South Atherton, and recently I found them at Wise on Westerly Parkway. There's a big Asian community right across the Wise there, so they're doing a very good job at bringing exotic ingredients. So how many peppers do you need? More or less 4, depending on how crazy spicy you like this dish to be. And then slice them very thinly. Sauce.
Would you ever be able to use a dried chili?
No, this sauce, prik nam pra or nam pra prik, is made only with this pepper.
Okay.
I know that I mentioned jalapenos for people who cannot get the fresh chili, but this sauce is made with this pepper.
Okay.
And it's always present at a Thai table. With some garlic. To choose garlic, you have to squeeze your garlic head and make sure that it's not collapsing. If it starts collapsing, you know it's old, let it go. So this one is nice and firm. You can open garlic in many ways, right? You can cut this, or you can smash. Or if you have a mortar and pestle, you can crush it a little bit, and that will help open the peel easier. I didn't really crush it hard because I don't want to bruise my garlic for this sauce. Then after you open the peel, you need to get rid of all the brown spots. Just inspect your garlic because the brown spots are mold and you don't want to eat that. This one looks pretty good. In Thailand, the garlic, all the ingredients are super fresh, right? You'll hardly find any mold. So, and the skin of the garlic also being very fresh and young, it's very thin. So often you can use the skin in your food too. That gives it a nice crunch when you stir fry with garlic and skin on.
I've never heard of that before. That's interesting.
Using
the garlic skin, yeah.
Yeah, Thai people are crazy about texture. They don't talk about it, but it's true. And if you are, you get criticized if you don't cut things properly, if they're too big, if the garlic is chopped too coarsely. And I'm gonna do exactly the same thing for our chicken dish. After this, I just want to show you the proportion.
I can see why you would be a little nervous when you were cooking for Thai people then, if they're that, picky about the size and the texture.
It's
And,
like,
Yes, you get judged. So just mix this up a little bit.
oh, beautiful.
Yeah, this, the fish sauce and oyster sauce have strong smell. We almost need a bigger bowl, Tamara, but we're okay. We're okay. All right. So in the recipe card, I mentioned to have your chicken pre-ground because I was concerned about noise level, but Tamara insisted that I need to show you how to cut a whole chicken. So this class is gonna take 4 hours long. No, don't tune away. I'm kidding. This dish actually takes about 30 minutes in all, but because I'm explaining ingredients and very little fine details, well, we'll need a little bit more time, but in actuality, it's not that scary. So I'll chop some more garlic for the basil chicken. There many different cuisine will serve the garlic differently, right? So this, you've seen the Thai version, very finely chopped. The Chinese version, I'll show you cuisines around garlic around the world. No mold. The Chinese version. Done. The Italian version coming up. I found a little mold spot. This is the Italian version. Maybe that's even done. My mother-in-law doesn't cut it at all. So she puts it whole, just like that. She's Italian. Did I tell you that I'm married to an Italian? And I have Italian citizenship too, if I didn't mention that earlier.
Yeah, I find people are always a little surprised when we talk about how some of us have multiple citizenships. They don't realize that that's even allowed. And I don't know that it's technically allowed, but I think the US pretty much overlooks it. They know.
Well, now they know. I have multi-citizenships.
Yeah.
So we're using about a pound of chicken, right? And we're going to use about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. If you use a whole head, you're doing a different dish. There is a such thing as a chicken garlic. So don't use a whole head, no matter how much you love garlic. Too much. So you want to chop it very fine so it can melt and incorporate really well.
Do you so would a person be able to use a garlic press, or do you prefer the chopping like this?
I prefer the chopping because the press bruises the garlic.
Okay.
And I know, what is the big deal? We're all gonna like stir fry it to death anyway, right? But I don't know, it's the way it is.
I mean, not everyone has your great knife skills, is my point. So, you know, that's some really, really good chopping there.
Oh, you approve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty much where we want it to be, nice and fine and ready to go. So I like to work backwards because I don't like to have my kitchen messy. I don't like to use 5 different cutting boards. So if we work backwards and do the chicken last, then you don't have to clean your board at all. So I will just put this, use it because I need to make space for the chicken. We have store-bought chicken. I normally support my farmer friends in town because I've seen the way the chickens are raised. Polecat Hollow, DDD Homestead. They're great. And I know that the birds are free range, cage free. Cage free doesn't mean free. Free range is when they're running loose and happy. So I'll show you how to remove the meat from the bones or debone the chicken. Let me just move that away. And actually, let me put it away so I don't have chicken on my basil and pepper. Okay, so you want the breast part up, okay? And in the middle here, we're going to work next to the spine here. You're just going to feel that and just take your cleaver and cut very close to it. I'll demonstrate how to do half the chicken and then refrigerate your other half and work with that later.
Can we scoot just a little bit forward to get it a little bit more in the, there we go. Yeah.
There's a menu pop up on the screen. I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't know if that matters.
It's all right.
So I'm just gonna remove the breast part. This recipe calls for both breast and dark white and dark meat. It doesn't really matter, but I feel like the dark meat is more juicy. And of course, the authentic version, they'll include skin and fat too. In Thailand, we use everything, the interior, every part of the animal as much as possible, like zero waste. That's why my farmer's friend love me. They know I eat everything. So just work real close to the bones. That's really close to a pound. But I will show you how to remove the wing. Just go right there. You can feel the joint. You can even break it and then just cut between, and then you won't hit any bone. Because chicken bones are really, really sharp. So you have to be careful not to.
So someone requested if we turn on the live transcripting, which might, it's a subtitles for those that might be having hearing issues. But the subtitles might not be entirely accurate at times because it is an auto live transcription. So that's clear.
Or I can speak with my Italian volume. Should I keep going or
Yeah,
wait?
yeah, no, it's okay. I think you can go ahead.
Okay, so now we have a wingless bird. And we're going to remove the thigh. And you can like, you know what? Let me do this first. You take your cleaver and you run this along. There are those white little strings, the tendon that goes all around the leg, right? And then, see, they're already trying to escape. Then you twist it. It's a little slippery. It comes right out.
Oh,
Ta-da!
okay.
That's why Tamara insisted that I do this. And because chicken is super slippery, some people will use pliers, but I don't have dedicated pliers in my kitchen. So I'm going to take Scotch-Tex and try to pull it out. And sometimes that works really well. Sometimes it doesn't. So what do? You cut the leg open. I just cracked the ribs. See, you can just break it and then you don't have to hurt your cleaver. You don't have to cause any accident by creating sharp chicken bones. Maybe a little plate for this. Okay. So I'll just start ripping this into this. And look for the white little ones here. Thank you. And by the way, this is the biggest secret. I fight with my brother when I was growing up. We fight to eat this part between the small back. I mean, if you are making soup stock after this, you know, do what I'm doing here to the other side. With the remaining bones, you make stock. You can make tom kha gai, which is really the Thai chicken coconut milk soup is really good. Leave all of that in, and then once it's done, this is all going to turn brown, and it's like better than pate, if you like it. Because pate has a very strong flavor that a lot of people don't like, right? Liver. But that part, it's creamy like pate, and it tastes so good. So we'll work into here and pull. See, that came right out like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I mean, there are many of these guys. You know, I might invest in pliers just dedicated to my kitchen ones. Then you can also do this method where you hold it and then you can, you know, use your cleaver and scrape it like that. It's a little tedious. When you buy a pre-ground chicken in the supermarket, it's a lot leaner because the machines can't really grind the skin. So you either like, they'll get stuck in the machine because I have a KitchenAid with a grinder attachment and it never worked for grinding the chicken the way I like it. And by the way, this is what makes this dish authentic too, is the hand chop portion of this, because in Thailand it's always hand chopped. So just so that our class won't run too long, I'm not going to clean out all of the ligaments for you. I'll just take out about a pound of chicken, which is what we need for our class. Okay. And then the more time you spend, wait a minute, I have something here that I don't want. That's going to be chewy. It's edible, but it's chewy and it's not delicious. So cut your meat really, really small, because the more time you spend cutting your chicken, the less time you will be chopping.
I think they're asking us to have you speak up a little louder.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
For anyone with visual problems, I don't think you should be having any, so it might be something on your end. I think everyone else is okay with the video, so but we'll definitely have her speak up a little bit for the audio.
Okay, so spend more time cutting your chicken into little pieces so you won't have to chop as much.
So you're chopping the skin up right along with the meat.
Yes, ma'am. This is the authentic Thai basil chicken with the skin and the fat. And my husband gets grossed out by this, so he's like, I don't want to eat that, but it's good. If we were not doing ground chicken or chopped chicken, I like to show you, this is something additional. Chicken has grain, right? You can see the lines here. That's the grain of the chicken. So to get your meat to be tender, you have to follow the grain. I think you can see that. I'm not sure if you can see that. So you can see the grain of the chicken, like the stripes.
Mhm.
So that's how you get the chicken to be tender. Not too fast, right?
Like I said, not all of us have your knife skills.
Well, I've been doing this since 12. Started watching my mom cook as early as like preschool, because my mom used to make lard by herself, and I love watching her cutting the fat, and love watching the fat melt in the
Mm.
wok. Somehow it was really satisfying for me. You know, today's kids, they play with puppets or a fidget spinner. I was watching lard melt in the wok. That's my life. Anyway, so I went that way. Now I'm going to go the other way just to make it smaller. So, you know, when Tamara contacted me, I was living in Italy. She was like, can you come up with a recipe or a menu that, we can use? And I thought about it a long time, and the challenge of Thai cuisine is finding ingredients, especially if you live in a small town like we do. So I found this dish to be the one size fits all. And I'm telling you, you can have this for the entire family if you're careful and follow this recipe. It's good for preschooler. It's good for people with denture. It's good for people who don't eat meat. You can substitute with shrimp. If you don't eat shrimp, you can use tofu. If you don't eat tofu, you email me. I want to know what you eat. So this is getting pretty small. And I'll put a layer of cloth underneath just to absorb some sound. And I feel bad for your granite.
It's okay.
That helps. And if your cloth is a little bit damp, it will prevent your board from slipping. Like we're good today. And actually, I'm going to switch to a flavor.
Ooh, that looks
Oh,
dangerous.
wait, which camera are we? Okay. I know kitchen can be dangerous. That's why I teach everyone. I said, please, when you walk around, have the knife down, point down. You can walk all over the kitchen as long as the knife is pointed down. You have to talk, don't swing it in the air. Just sit it and use your hands. Thailand, you'll see 10 kilos of meat with the chef, 2 cleavers.
Wow.
Because ground meat by hand and by machine, you know, there's a difference in texture, right? You have, when you do things manually by hand, it tastes more customized. Variety of different texture, sizes. The machine is all uniform. May I ask if anybody is chopping along with me?
Anybody trying to chop along, or did you all go ahead and buy the already ground meat?
People who are chopping are probably chopping.
Someone's saying if you don't have a cleaver, what do you do? I guess you just use the biggest knife you've got.
Yes, and you know, the cleaver is heavy and it makes the chopping a lot easier. Your other small knives are too light. So it's kind of like a hammer too. You know, you lift and there's so much weight here that makes it better.
Do you have a cleaver purveyor that you use, or do you just find one cleaver and keep it forever? Do you have to keep sharpening it?
Yes, I do. I sharpened these before coming here today.
Said that they did chop and they still have all 10 fingers.
Oh, excellent.
Great. So some people are chopping along. Great. I notice you keep folding it in on itself, right? You kind of
Yes.
use the cleaver to fold it in and then continue.
Yes. Otherwise, the chicken will run away.
Yeah. Someone else went ahead and bought the ground chicken, so they're enjoying the Thai coffee while they watch.
Oh, that's amazing. That's the way to do it. Sometimes to learn is better to watch first, because if you're cooking along, you might be worried or you might miss a step. I'm as fast as a ninja.
If some of our guests went out and got the Thai coffee, maybe that's also why we couldn't find that yesterday at the Asian
Yeah,
market.
did you guys like clear the shelf yesterday? Because when we went to store to buy the chicken, Tamara was like, the chickens are all gone. And I'm like, maybe they're taking our class. Getting really close.
It's easier using tofu.
Yeah, but he's not as good. It's worth it, trust me. I have one cooking participant. Since I introduced her to the hot sauce and this dish, she said she makes a hot sauce like 4 times a week and she puts it on everything. Well, first of all, when I heard that she was making it 4 times a week, that's like 5 times more than I do at home. And I was like, do you eat Thai food every day? She's like, well, I cook this all the time, and the hot sauce, I put it on everything. I put it on burgers, I dunk French fries in it. I'm
Wow.
like, yeah, you get really addicted to this sauce. It's not like a sauce for chicken basil. It's a sauce, a common sauce for many dishes. It would be like going to an American restaurant without ketchup. It would be that weird. Getting there, and you can tell that you're there when you start separating your chicken. You don't have pieces, you know.
Someone is thanking you for doing this step by step so that they really see how long the process takes.
Yeah, you appreciate things when you do it, and you know. I have some chicken skin there, but that they're small enough. So we're ready. Okay, we're ready. Everything is chopped. We're gonna go. I'm gonna wash my hands a little bit, and then we'll go over to the stove.
Camera setting.
All right. So for those who are serious chefs, you look at the recipe and you wonder, Well, the seasoning is pretty light. You know, there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong, and you would not believe the details that I think about when I cook. So I have worked out a proportion for the seasoning to be as mild as possible, because a lot of people don't like strong flavors. If you're giving this to little children, maybe they don't like strong flavors, or somebody, they don't care about having a lot of fish sauce, right? And you want to make all of your family happy. So if you use the proportion that I'm giving you, and you find that, well, I wonder if you can guess what is the reason. These ingredients, somehow when you cook them, the aroma that they give off is so strong. They drive my in-laws away. So start with that amount. If the smell in the kitchen doesn't bother you, you can double it, you can triple it. But I wouldn't go more than that, because you have this hot sauce, right? This is going to bring in all the saltiness and the spiciness. So this is why this dish is so friendly. You can totally customize it. We'll start. Oh, sorry. There's one more thing that is optional. If you have the Thai roasted chili pepper, you can use some of these, and it will give a little more color to your chicken. And then I also forgot to cut the Thai chili. We can still use this same cutting board, because all of this is going to get cooked. You don't need spicy, right?
Not too much.
Not too much, Alex.
I'm not fine usually.
Okay, well, I'll just stick with 4, because that's mild. So you want to cut your chili on an angle, because it looks a lot more beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people will crack everything in the mortar, the garlic, the pepper. You can do that too, but aesthetically, I prefer when the peppers are cut on an angle. Don't run away. Okay. Okay, we'll go over here, move my stuff.
Someone's asking you include the seeds with the peppers?
Yes, include the seeds. First, we will.
Just a second. I think
You want high?
for the sake of our, we're gonna mute. Let us know if there's any audio issues since we're changing.
So we'll do the eggs first. Put just enough oil so that your egg will float a little bit. If you have a cup, it's better to crack your egg into a cup. Or bowl. Because if you crack it straight in the wok, you know, sometimes the shell falls down, or sometimes your egg will start splattering. We don't want that. So this is a little trick that I like to do. Just put the egg in the cup. Wait for the oil to come to the right temperature. You don't want it to be too hot that you start seeing smoke. If that happens, just lower your heat.
This looks like a very well seasoned wok. Have you had this one for a very long time?
Yes, I've had it for about 2 decades. I even got it for free in Chinatown, San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah, my husband and I were in town, and we walked by Chinatown looking for some good restaurant, and there was this grocery store that was throwing out a bunch of these woks. And there was a sign, "Adopt Me." And we were like, is this real? We were grad students, so anything free is good. So we took one, and we had to carry it all around San Francisco. But You know, it's actually broken, the handle.
Oh,
And I don't notice it because it doesn't really, I don't know, it's a good behaved wok. Yeah.
Someone else was asking, you don't typically use a different oil, like a coconut oil or a peanut oil when you cook?
No, peanut oil is best for deep fry. That's good for high temperature. But for cooking, I like vegetable oil, olive oil. But for frying egg, cooking vegetable oil works well. So you see how we have just enough oil, and you don't need to flip it. You just, you know, kind of give it a bath. And then be patient. Don't try to flip it. Sticky. Oh gosh, it's really sticky, your egg. Ah. My mom asked me, what happens if the egg breaks? Like, oh yeah, because she was nervous for me. And I said, well, if it breaks, it breaks. What can I do? It doesn't break when I do this at home.
But like that, you wash that again.
What- You want that right off?
Yeah, maybe try to turn the oil off. Let's see if that will help. No, it's still
Is it
hard.
these?
So this is nice and crunchy now. Unfortunately, the yolk broke.
Okay. Where's the other plate? Hang on, let me run here and get you another one.
I'm gonna do the egg again because, you know, thank you. Put this on the side. Try that again. I'm sure you're cooking more than one egg. Make sure you wash your hands after you touch the eggs because you don't want salmonella food poisoning. So just scoop some oil over the top. This one is a good Thai egg. It's nice and crunchy. It's not broken. And if you like the yolk to be juicy, you can take it out. If you want it fully cooked, then you can just keep frying. This is pretty good. Oh, it broke. Okay, I don't know where you buy your eggs.
Sorry.
Sorry, my arm, I can't cross. Thank you. It must be that I'm not used to the white eggs. I'm used to the brown eggs. No, but that's still good.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah. All right, so these guys can sit and wait for the chicken to be ready. Thank you. I'm going to scoop out some of this. I'll lower the heat a little bit. I need a little bowl, please, to scoop out the hot oil. See, these rocks. So you gotta be careful if you use this kind of wok at home. Thank you. I think they sell a stand too. That you can just put over underneath your wok.
Okay.
So I'm just removing some oil from here. And then without cleaning your wok, Throw in the chopped garlic. In Thailand, the kitchen is outdoor and open, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
they'll put the pepper at the same time or right after the garlic.
Okay.
But if we did that in the US, we'll be sneezing like crazy.
Oh, because of the indoor.
Yeah. So this is why I don't do that, and I just add the pepper after.
Okay, so you had a little bit of oil in there left from the egg. You put the garlic in just for like 10 or 20 seconds on its own.
Yes.
Then
Because,
throw in the chicken.
yes, you don't want to burn the garlic because then it will be bitter.
Right.
And I can increase my temperature a little bit right here. Put in the peppers. And remember the seasoning. Start with that proportion. If the smell, the aroma doesn't bother you, you will double it or triple it, but no more. Because the smell of cooked oyster sauce and fish sauce is very powerful. If you live in a small apartment, you'll probably need to open your windows. If you want to get rid of the next door neighbor, you can cook this every day. If you want to really have the entire floor vacate, I have a recipe for that. Not this dish.
This already smells great.
Yeah, but I haven't put the
I know.
seasoning yet.
It does. It smells wonderful.
So I don't have such neighbor or people with a picky palate.
So this is the oyster sauce,
This
right?
is the oyster sauce. You can also get gluten-free oyster sauce if you have gluten problem. This sauce is made in Thailand. Once you open it, you need to refrigerate it. And the reason why this one is not gluten-free is because they use wheat to thicken it. You can see how thick it is. I forgot the camera was here today. Anyway. And then, you sure we don't need to turn on the vent?
No, we're good.
Then the fish sauce.
It's just me and Alex, and we like the smell, so it's fine.
You can put the roasted garlic crushed. The roasted Thai pepper chili. If you want, it's kind of hard to. Oh no, I already have it. And you know what? I'm not gonna put too much because Tamara, you don't eat spicy.
Yeah.
But this gives it, more color.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of sugar. Just a pinch of sugar. And if you really want it more salty, you can add salt instead. So if somebody is really troubled by the aroma or the smell, you just use salt. You don't want this dish to be too salty if you're going to be using the accompanying hot sauce.
Mm.
And it looks like my chicken is cooked through. I don't see any pink spots. Looks like it's cooked through. If you like this to be a little dry and crunchy, just let it cook a little more. Because in Thailand, the chicken basil, it's not, you don't have juice running all over. It's actually dry. And in the image of the promo, you see this dish served over rice, which automatically means it's for lunch. It's for the individual person. It's not something you share for dinner. You will have this on its own and rice on the side. So this right away, the image tells you it's served for lunch, and it's like a fast food.
Okay.
So
It smells amazing.
thank you. So I think this is really done now. I'm just gonna cut the heat.
Oh, okay. Someone's gonna has to head out, but please, if you are not able to stay and watch the end of this, it will be up on our website on wpsu.org/worldkitchen later this week. But I hope the rest of you can hang around and watch us finish this up.
Okay, so once we remove the heat, you can throw in your basil.
Now this is important, right? We went and we got Thai basil.
Thai basil, which is a lot stronger than Italian basil. But in Thailand, the basil is very different, even from this one.
Okay.
This is actually not the original basil that you would find if you order chicken basil in Thailand. That one is more like lemon basil.
Okay.
It has even stronger aroma. So add your basil and we're ready to put this on the plate.
Wonderful.
So the reason why I turn off the heat and add the basil to the end is because I don't want the leaves to get all dark.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this, then, you know, it gets cooked on its own. You can eat raw basil.
Sure.
So that's it. We'll check on the rice. Got to bring my scoop.
We had a bowl. Let's see.
This rice. I'll just use
Yeah,
this.
the garlic, remember? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Thank you. Sugar in the ice
Wait. We need to change the audio back down.
Oh, sorry.
Just a second.
So you are preparing the rice to be beautiful.
like the photo. You don't have to do this, of course, but if you want to form your rice, you can do that.
Oh, I see. Nice.
Okay, and I'll get the chicken basil.
Oops. We got the sauce.
Oh gosh, I almost created a nightmare.
Okay.
And
Wow, that's beautiful.
an egg. So yes, actually that's a little bit, this bowl is a little bit big. This is more than one serving. So that's the dish. And you can garnish with the cilantro. If you don't mind cilantro flavor.
Someone's asking if you do like it to be a little more saucy or juicy, what would you do? Just add more of the fish sauce? Or?
Yes, so Thai cuisine is like, it's like a symphony. So if you want to increase any flavor or one element, you have to increase the entire thing, right? You have to add more sugar, add more salt, everything. So just keep that proportion and bump it up. Because like tuning music, right? If you want to hear it louder, you turn up the volume and all the instruments are raised. Okay, let's revisit this. We have glass of ice, please. About a cup of sugar in here. I know it's a lot of sugar.
Someone's asking how much hot sauce you put on.
Yes, I will demonstrate that really soon. That's a great question. This is melted. We'll pour this over a glass of ice. Still, pretty warm. So in Thailand, you can have it black, just like this, which is oliang, and then a version with the evaporated milk. I'm gonna make a mess if I try to pour that. This is what they really use in Thailand. Not milk, not half and half, but evaporated milk. And it's a lot creamier. Can have a taste.
So
We need a straw here. Would you like to try, Tamara? Sure. Maybe.
you
Yeah.
have it, Anna?
Yeah.
A little bit more. What else?
You want the almond?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think the one I'm used to, like in the Thai restaurants, is a little sweeter
Yeah, it's
usually.
sweeter.
Yeah, but this is really good.
Some people tell me they don't like Thai coffee because it's too sweet. Well, if you make it yourself, you can tone down the sugar. So let me demonstrate how to eat like a Thai person. Normally you have, I'm just gonna put this egg in here because I don't want to have the egg. Maybe I'll take half. So in the Thai cuisine, there are so many flavors, and we like variety of flavor, and we like the fact that not every bite is the same. So would you like to join me?
Sure.
I don't know where, or you're going to go straight to here.
Oh.
So if you're right-handed, the spoon will be on your right. If you're left-handed, the spoon will be on your left. And the job of the fork is to block the food from falling off your plate. So the spoon will go behind the fork like that. If you need to cut, hold down with the fork and cut with the knife, the spoon, like that. So drizzle as much sauce as you like. I'll let you do it. If you don't eat spicy, that's it, just the sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just sprinkle it around. And because we like varying flavor, you don't have to mix everything again, because otherwise we do that in the wok. So
Okay, suddenly I get why the sauce is so important.
mhm.
It is very spicy, even though I didn't use the peppers. That's spicy, but I get why that's so important. It really gives it a completely different flavor.
Mhm. And you can modify it. If it's too hot, you might want to have just plain rice or a little bit of egg.
Mhm.
If it's not hot enough, you just add more, like this.
Yeah, I think my son-in-law would love it at this speed of heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can really customize. You can customize
Delicious.
this dish.
And a lot of compliments for the chef in the chat. Someone also asking, how about beef salad one day? I don't know what they mean by.
Beef salad. The Thai salads are my specialty.
Mm.
It's my favorite food. Originated from Isan cuisine, which is Laos, close to Laos. And I absolutely love salads.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
This has been wonderful, and we'd like to thank our friend Medora, our mutual friend Medora, for putting us together and suggesting this class. So thank you all for coming.